You didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. You exist in the context of all in which came before you, okay? Write that down. Hey guys, we have like 10 more minutes left of this video. I hope that she says a slur. Listen, we're ignoring a major point of contention in this video, and I'm gonna get really mean to Katie right here because she keeps doing this, and it's actually really starting to irritate me, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, better.
Alright, I guess get your bag, sis.
Putting the notes I made on yet another really, really annoying online creator who's done stuff that is probably not appropriate to do around children.
Okay. So I'm a little confused. Like, if they actually did that around a kid, oh, they did something at Disney, right? That's true. But that's just like an OF plug. So I'm wondering what you mean by that.
That doesn't really narrow it down, does it? No.
But they did do that weird thing at Disney where they're talking about their wiener. That was bizarre. Why are you doing that? Why are you recording yourself doing that?
Hello everyone. Today we're going to be having a look at Lily Tino. Now, if you don't
Although Disney is for adults now, I think. Let's be real.
know who she is, she's a trans American TikToker, and now I only mention her being trans
Yeah, she's trans-American. What did she, like, start in England or something? Like, what does that mean?
because it is a very big part of her content. When she first began creating content, it was pretty harmless. It was just outfits and what it's like to be trans and her plans to transition and
So for people who are unaware who Lily Tino is like the TikTok, Karen trans lady. What she does normally is she'll go to restaurants and film herself eating, and then if any of the, service staff or whatever misgender her, she's like, I want to talk to your manager, like immediately. Lily Tino is also, like, Lily Tino, honestly, I think just posts rage bait content. I think that's what she's doing. I think that she's doing rage bait content. She also filmed herself at Disneyland or World, I don't remember which one, where she is describing in innuendo how she's turning her marshmallow wand into a donut hole. Generally really fucking inappropriate. I think that Lily Tino just rage baits, but I would consider her content to be like pretty inappropriate. She also makes content about she makes like kids TikTok content where she's like, hey guys, this is how, like transgender 101, the ABCs of gender, like that kind of shit. But then she also advertises her OnlyFans content with her kid related content as well. I think it's RHKMedia that actually has a good video on her. Who's the one that I'm thinking of? I think it is RHKMedia. So RHKMedia does have like a pretty good video. I have to hear this guy's voice to know if it's the one that I'm thinking
There
of.
who want this and responsibility.
It is this guy. It's this guy. This guy has a good video on Lily Tino. If you don't know who Lily Tino is, I recommend this guy. And she also did have a controversy with like polyamory, where she like invited this girl to hang out with her or whatever, and it was like she assumed that they were going to be making OnlyFans content together, like weird shit like that. There's like a whole thing. There's probably like a whole thing about it. So like Lily Tino is definitely somebody who is worth criticizing. I will say that. For many different reasons. There were many reasons to criticize Lily Tino. Katiclyzm is the other person who was involved in the janky Jaboo controversy, quote unquote controversy, if you can even fucking call it that. We know of Katie because Lewis McClung threw his entire body weight behind her allegations and dumb shit like that or whatever. But Katiclyzm is very radical feminist, very swerf coded. Swerf is sex work exclusionary radical feminist. It's usually people who hate pornography. Pornography is always oppressive. Pornography is always violent. Pornography is always coercive. There is not a single woman in the entire world that has ever done pornography or OnlyFans or anything like that because she wanted to. It's always at the end of the barrel of a loaded gun, and the gun is held by a man. And usually swerfs are TERFs. They're almost always some flavor of radical feminist. It's basically like a Venn diagram, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to fall smack dab in the middle. In between swerf and TERF, they're almost always right in the middle. Sometimes you can have radical feminists who are, fine with sex work. Like, there's always exceptions to the rule, but almost always TERFs and swerfs overlap under the umbrella of radical feminism. It's very difficult for me to describe. Allow me to use a visual aid. So this pink circle here is TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist. Okay. And then over here, under the red circle, that is ass. Under the red circle, we have swerf, sex work, exclusionary, radical feminist, and then this obviously all falls under the umbrella, great umbrella, Malcolm, that's beautiful, of radical feminism. Okay, so most of the time, all these little bitches are going to fall right in here, right in the middle. Almost always, okay? It's almost always a complete circle, okay? Almost always. So, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Pretty harmless stuff, really. But as time has gone on, she
Well, now it's just like all obnoxious rage bait for attention. That's really what it is.
started to post more and more questionable things that have got people actually asking whether she is actually trans or not, because a lot of it seems like genuine rage bait as much
Well, yeah, the Miss Rachel thing is obviously rage bait.
of her content seems to
I mean, that's the thing. You're allowed to be trans and annoying at the same time. You know what I mean? I don't think that.
Papa Gut stays based with this take. I hate this weird thought trap, I guess. I don't know, like brain worms that people fall into where like you can be trans and be a shitty person. Just because you're trans doesn't mean you're a good person. So Lily Tino can be a shitty trans person and a rage baiter, an asshole, potentially perv, potentially. I mean, I think doing the sex change stuff at Disney World is like pretty fucking weird in my opinion, but like you can be all of those things and still be trans. So Papa Gut, stay winning. Papa Gut gets the trans seal of approval on this take.
I don't think she's not trans because she rage baits. That's just she's an annoying person who happens to be trans.
feed into the already very toxic and damaging misconceptions of trans people and LGBTQ people, such as them being predators or the LGBTQ community indoctrinating children. She's just posting an awful lot of what seems to be rage bait because a lot of it is so odd and weird that it's just like, you can't be serious. Like, this cannot be real. A lot of trans people are, of course, very upset about her because as a trans creator who is growing and getting more and more attention, she's representing the trans community in some ways in a way that obviously trans people don't want to be represented by. It's like with Elphaba. When a trans person rises in fame and they're doing loads of controversy.
And Elphaba, to be fair, Elphaba is cringe in her own right, but I feel like Elphaba is more of somebody who is only popular because she gets picked on. Like, if nobody responded or engaged with trans Elphaba's content, I don't think that she would be even nearly as known or as popular or as cringe. You know, it's like she exists only to react to hate. Like, that's really all of her content, right? And for people who don't know who trans Elphaba is, good luck, because the best video about trans Elphaba is a almost 6-hour iNabber video. So if you don't know about trans Elphaba and you don't want to sit through a 6-hour iNabber video, you're better off just not knowing, okay?
I mean, Elphaba has autism. Elphaba, Elphaba's a lolcow with like autism. It's obviously partially getting bullied. They should.
Also, Elphaba lore drop. Elphaba actually doesn't have autism because true Elphaba lore masters know that Elphaba lied about having autism to perform in Autism's Got Talent, which is apparently a thing. Okay, so wrong, factual misinformation being spread by Papa Gut. Take 10 points off the scoreboard. Scorekeepers, please.
Shouldn't be famous. All right, they're famous because people like to bully them, and then when people bully them, they act even worse and more gross. Right?
Yeah,
and so
true,
that's one of those
true
things
lolcow shit. Yeah, true.
That's really the reality of that.
stuff. It's always the minority who are doing bad things that are the loudest and
That's what I say all the time. It's always the minorities that do the bad things. I'm just kidding.
it for other
Papa
people.
Gut's funny.
So
That's
today we're
funny.
going to be having a look at why people dislike us so much,
Ah,
why our content
funny.
is damaging,
I like
and
it.
obviously give my opinion on it, because of course I have one. Now I thought we'd start off with the thing that caught my attention the most, to do with Lily Tino, and that is when she decided to impersonate a TikTok creator called Ms. Rachel, who makes content for mums with very, very young children/babies.
Sure. Okay.
Ms. Rachel is a very beloved creator, and the way that she speaks to the camera in many of her videos is very much directed towards babies,
What's
children.
happening
Her
right
content is for children. Her content is for parents of very, very young children. Lily decided to do a video dressed as Ms. Rachel in the format of Ms. Rachel's videos, using a green screen to make it look like a Ms. Rachel video, and talk about what it means to be transgender.
Okay. Was there something problematic inside the video? Because I don't really care that they impersonated a kids show person. I don't think that doesn't matter to me. So.
Plagiarism. Fuck. Oh my god. James Somerton coded. Oh my god. You guys, this is big. This is big. We should be talking about this.
Friends, today we're going to talk about something super
It's going to be more that it's like rage bait for attention, you know?
important. What it means to be transgender. It's a big
Okay.
word, but I promise that it's easy to understand. Ready to learn? The first thing I want you to
Such a
do
grating
No.
voice.
is close your eyes. Now think.
The original video is archived on Wayback Machine BTW. Link me, Mr. Mollusk. Link me. Link me, King. My strongest soldier, Mr. Mollusk, always coming through for me in my darkest of times. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for Mr. Mollusk is with me. Link it to me, King. Show it to me, Rachel. Oh no, it's not in dark mode. Oh, where's Go-Go Gadget dark mode extension? Help. Hang on, this is slow.
Wait. I have a really important announcement.
Oh my god,
promise
can I
this will
not
take
2
2 seconds,
times it
okay?
on Wayback
You ready?
Machine either? I'm not gonna
It
make
was
it.
pretty
I'm not gonna make it, guys. We're not gonna
She's
make
just
it.
posting an awful lot of what seems to be rage bait because a lot of it is
Where were we in this video? Go Gadget. I want to die. Hang on.
a TikTok creator called Ms. Rachel who
If
makes
we were
content
here.
for mums with very, very young children slash Ms. Rachel in the format of Ms. Rachel's videos, using a green screen to make it look like a Ms. Rachel video and talk about what it means to be transgender.
Hi, friends. Today we're going to talk about something super important. What it means to be
I spilled it.
transgender.
I
It's
spilled.
a big word,
Oh,
but I
no.
promise that it's easy
spilled.
to understand. Ready to learn? The first thing I want you to do is close your eyes.
Okay, close your eyes.
Now think, do you feel like a boy, a girl, or a little bit of both? Do you have your answer?
I feel like
Great.
dying.
Now I want you to imagine that everyone keeps telling you that you're something else, even though in your heart you know who you are. Wouldn't that make you sad inside? People
Yes.
who feel like this are transgender. And
Wow,
if you're
based.
not transgender, it's super easy to be friends with someone who is. Let's take our imaginary friend Theo, for example. One
right.
day you notice that you say a big sorry and that you'll do better next time. As you
Whole video. We get the okay.
Miss Rachel's videos, taking on the identity of Miss Rachel in one of her videos. She's letting everybody know that she's targeting this information towards children. And I just don't really think there's a planet where very young children that, in her own words, can't even spell the word transgender need to be taught about transgender people. It's
I mean, it's true. I mean, I totally agree. Like, can white children even spell the word black? Do they really need to know? Do they really need to know about black? No, I'm just kidding. But, like, I mean, there's obviously people that will argue that, like, education is akin to indoctrination. But I think that regardless, like, one of the things that is useful of, like, just in general, like, educating kids that, like, different kinds of people are alive and that it's okay that those other kinds of people are alive and that everybody is deserving of, like, respect and dignity and things like that. I think it's fine, right? But, like, I don't really know if this is, like, it, right? I don't know if this is, like, it. Because, like I said, there are so many criticisms towards Lily Tino. Like, instead of criticizing, like, this, like, her making a video, like, saying, like, this is what it means to be trans or whatever in an educational way, why don't you bring up the fact that this video is posted on her TikTok where she advertises her OnlyFans? Why don't you bring up that point? I think that's a much better point. If somebody wants to make some cringe fucking video about, like, the ABCs of transgenderism, like, I don't give a shit. If they're making that video for children and next to it is, like, come watch me pop my live in 4K on only, like, that's, there we go. Boom, there's the criticism right there. I just don't understand. Sorry.
It's just not something that young children need to be taught. And I don't say that in like a toxic way. I don't say that in a like, our kids don't need to be like indoctrinated by that. I'm fully like okay with children being who they are,
I love gay people. I just hate when gay people are around me. No, I'm just kidding.
doing what they want to do. It's like, I just don't care about that. I just think purposefully teaching kids that can't even spell transgender about trans people and transitioning, it's just not, it's not necessary at all. It's just, it's not necessary. And I think it's such a controversial thing to talk about because you don't want to come across as if you're saying that like there aren't going to be children out there that have issues with their gender, because I fully believe that there are, but I don't think it's a big enough thing to be teaching every child who is young enough to not be able to spell the word what trans.
Well, it just depends on, there's like a lot of different ways that you could kind of go about this. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about shit like this is like left-handed kids. There are very, very few left-handed people. Being left-handed is pretty rare. Being ambidextrous is even more rare. But if you know, like it's about exposure, right? It's just kind of like, hey, like there are different ways that people do different things. And obviously everybody kind of draws that line in different places. And I think that's a fair conversation to have. And I think realistically, like it is fair to have some kind of expectation that in general education that you're going to be exposed to people that are different than you, and being taught about that and being taught that it's okay that there are people that are different than you is actually like fine. I don't know why the example I want to use is left-handedness. I'm not quite sure why. I wonder because maybe it's just kind of like a really neutral example. But I think of like, if you are somebody who goes to like public school, sometimes that can be like a very sheltered experience depending on where you are and the kinds of people that you're exposed to in your education. So sometimes that is helpful for when you branch out into the real world and get a job or attend school, like maybe you join the military and you go overseas. Like that tolerance is something that should be taught at a really young age. And you could say that maybe like being trans isn't something like I guess you could make the argument, I wouldn't agree with it, that being trans is something that you wouldn't teach that tolerance for. But I would say in general, kind of teaching worldliness, for the lack of a better phrase, is I think something that's worthwhile regardless of how small the demographic is. Like, what percentage of people are redheads? An incredibly small percentage of people that are redheads. But if you raise kids to be tolerant and understanding of people's differences, they're not going to come across a redheaded person and be like, oh my god, ginger freak! Like, they're not going to do that because they're going to be like, oh shit, I remember, like, some people are born with red hair and that's different than me and that's okay. I think that is almost always ubiquitously worthwhile, is teaching tolerance at a very young age, depending on how specific you want to get into it. Like, I'm not saying, like, bust out the biology textbook to preschoolers and teach them how to do, like, a vaginectomy. That's, like, way too fucking inappropriate. But just like in general, like teaching that tolerance of like there are people who are different and that's okay. I don't necessarily think that that's inherently wrong, but
people are, and it's just, I don't know, I can't explain it. I can see why people don't like it, and I do think it's really unnecessary, and paired with all her other content, it's starting to look a bit weird because it is almost like all her content is targeted towards children. But a lot of her content is also highly inappropriate for children, like what we're about to see now.
So this is a good example. There we go. We should have started with this. This is a good example.
Are we still on the cake pop bag?
We're further down.
We're further down now. What's underneath the cake pop bag? There it is. The floor?
Yeah, this is fucking weird, dude. This shit's fucking weird.
The basement.
This shit's bizarro.
There it is.
You like that?
I like the basement. The basement of the cake pop factory. They're making cake pops upstairs.
Yeah, this makes me violently uncomfortable.
In my case, the factory is empty. What's above the cake pop factory?
The penthouse.
The penthouse.
Yeah.
I like it.
The penthouse.
There's the penthouse, the cake pop.
Yeah, so you get the picture. She's having a wax done down there.
Ooh, misinformation. It's not a wax. It's actually electrolysis, but we'll let that one slide.
She's having hair removal, and you can't post that on the same page you're posting content.
There we go. Now we're cooking, Katie. Now you got it.
On what trans
There you go.
people are. Is your content for kids or is it not? Because, first of all, I think it's really, really odd to call your parts after a food, like a food item.
Part of it, I agree. I think the way that Lily Tino talks about shit is like really inappropriate, especially when she's like at Disney World and doing it. That's kind of fucking weird. But in general, I would imagine that part of it is also to avoid like TOS. I would imagine that's part of it. It's the same reason that Katie says corn, right? It's like that I could say the same thing. Like, it's really weird that you always say corn in your videos instead of porn. Like, why is that? It's like, oh, well, you're just dodging TOS, basically.
Because I already think that's just creepy enough anyway, and if your videos are meant to be educational, why are you calling your private parts cake pops? It just screams like you're trying to attract a child audience. And I'm not gonna say like no one wants to see this, because to be perfectly honest, I've seen content before where women are having their Brazilian done and they're filming their reactions.
Also
so
weird.
I don't think it's
Also
fair to
odd.
say
Also
keep that
odd.
off the internet. That's really, really weird on its own, because women do it. Women have done it on the app. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but women have actually done that on this app.
Odd.
So the only thing I would say about this is stop
Yes, this is the lady who said that Kurt Cobain is trans.
calling it cake pop. It's weird. It's just, there's something really infantile about it, which isn't helping your case. And also, don't post this on the same page where you're going, hello everyone, this is what transgender people are. Can you spell transgender?
Yeah, the blurring of the lines of content is something that I would consider to be really inappropriate, where it's like, if you want to make that kind of content where it's like catered towards young people or kids in an educational way, there are people that do that and they do that successfully, and it's not weird and it's not creepy, but you can't couple that with like very sexually charged content. Like, those two things should always be decoupled. Like, any Blippi fans in chat? Anybody know who Blippi is? If Blippi was advertising his fucking OnlyFans on the same channel where he posted his fucking Blippi videos, that would be a big problem, right? That would be really fucking inappropriate. I think the problem is like coupling that kind of content together is what people are uncomfortable with, and I would say rightfully so. Like those two things like should never intertwine. Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's never going to go down well, Chief. It's never going to go down well. And, you know, trans people already have enough issues with people thinking and accusing them of being predators. And it's a really unfortunate misconception because 99% of trans people aren't predators. They're not out to educate.
Does this video get worse? Because I was told this was like pretty bad. I was told that this was a pretty bad video. Is this getting worse? Because so far it's like I'm being pretty nitpicky with my criticisms, to be honest with you. Like, does this get worse?
3, 4, 5-year-olds and what a trans person is. Small, annoying, uneducated minorities of these groups of people that ruin it for everybody else. It's always the loudest people.
Sigh. I mean, this is the same person who hit us with the "your labia is only pink before puberty. Give her time."
That then are seen
Let
as
her
a
cook.
representation for these communities, and that's really, really unfair.
Buongiorno. This is my manicotti, and later this year a surgeon will turn it into a tortellini. How?
Dies of cringe.
Let me show you.
Oh my gosh, I wish I was off the alcohol right now.
Now, if I still had my meatballs, which I don't because I got them removed last summer, this would be the first thing the surgeon would remove. So let's go ahead and do that.
Good eating string cheese.
With the meatballs gone, his next move will be to split the manicotti straight.
I don't like how long she's playing the video. Okay, so now I am being nitpicky. Now I'm being a hater. I don't like how she's playing so much of the video. Like, I need like 10 seconds of this to get the gist of it. I don't need the whole fucking video.
Down the middle. I wasn't trained for this. Ooh, we did it. We will then open the manicotti and lay it down flat. Inside the manicotti, there's all
This makes me want to
kinds
die.
of filling, which the surgeon will remove.
No, I want to die. I don't want to be here.
Once it's cleaned out, the only thing left will be a small tube of spaghetti that carries all of the
I feel you,
manicotti's
Katie.
various
yeah.
sauces.
Mhm.
We'll come back to this tube later, but
No.
for now, we will shorten it.
No,
Next, the
bro.
surgeon will use the outer shell of
Please,
the
Katie, we don't want to see the whole
create
video.
the inner
Katie!
lining of the tortellini. But before the
Is this why the video is bad? Because she shows the whole fucking thing?
surgeon can create the tortellini, he must first make room for the tortellini. Hey, this might fit. Hey, look at that, we did it. Now we just
wanna
make
die.
sure that our pasta
I wanna die.
transportation tube
There's no
is
place
set
like
in
home.
the
There's no
right
place like
position
home. There's no place like
inside.
home.
And just like that, we have created a brand new tortellini. One final and important note. I know this doesn't look like an appetizing tortellini, but after it's healed, it will. The aesthetics of the surgery have
We didn't need to see the whole video, Katie. That's my number one criticism.
Truly mind-blowing. And one final note. It's been Lily the whole time.
I want to die.
I mean, again, another
Same girl.
example of using food to reference. No one needs to hear that. And obviously, as you can probably tell, a big
Sure.
part of Lily's account has always been streaming in restaurants and reviewing food. It's like this completely separate thing she does with her content, but she's kind of merged them now where she's talking about stuff like this in restaurants, in public, with probably children around. Obviously, I can't see any kids there, but you're in a public space, and I don't really think talking about that in a public space in front of potential children is really going to be a good
Agree.
idea.
Okay, I'm agreeing so far.
In
We're
a
cooking.
restaurant where there are people around and they're trying
We're
to enjoy
cooking.
their meal.
Okay, we're
I don't think
cooking.
people need to hear all that. And again,
Okay.
educational video, that would be great if it wasn't on TikTok and it wasn't talking about your parts as if they were food, which again, to me, just seems quite infantile and strange to do on
It
an
is a
app
little-
where you've
it is a
also
little
addressed children
strange.
before.
Mhm,
She's also
mhm.
addressed
Okay.
this process so many times on her TikTok in so many different ways, using food over and over again, that at this point, it's like you're doing it on purpose to rage
Yeah.
people.
She probably
to annoy
is rage
people.
baiting. Yeah.
Because, like, really? In public, over and over again?
Being someone who turned their cake pops into a donut. This donut is breaking, but you get it.
Okay, I'm not
She's
gonna.
about
I
6
won't
months
do this.
I'm genuinely
Okay,
just
thank
being
you.
dramatic. I really don't know. But, like, I just feel like this is really unnecessary to do in public. And I think there are other ways you could go about it. But I don't know. What the do I know?
Is it a 10 out of 10, sir? I kind of looks exclusive.
Oh, would you like to show your faces?
Yes.
Okay.
How is it?
First off, you called me sir, right?
Oh, I meant to say man. That's my.
Oh
name.
no.
What are your
Oh, okay.
pronouns?
No, okay.
What are your pronouns?
She, her.
She, her. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Never
What's
know.
your name?
I don't have a name. My name's. On Instagram, follow me.
I don't.
There we go.
See you, sir.
I really miss the 2x speed right now,
wait,
you guys.
one more time? I didn't catch that.
I really miss the 2x speed a
See
lot.
you, sir.
I really miss it.
Those are kids who knew exactly what they were doing. No, they're not
Yeah,
ignorant.
fuck those
Austin. They're
kids.
hateful.
Fuck them kids, bro.
Hate is learned. They deserve for that video to be seen by the world.
I don't know, man. If hate is taught, if hate is learned, and they're just kids and they don't know any better, should we nuke them? I don't know. Moral questions, moral quandaries.
Would imagine their parents are of the same mind. If my kid was walking around harassing trans people on the street, I'd want them to know. It's not a light thing. It's not like, oh, they're just being kids. No, an opportunity for them to learn, sure.
Now, I
Learning isn't really inspired by like public humiliation and life rumination. Like I don't know about that one, Chief. Like there are opportunities for people to learn and grow and stuff like that. That almost never includes like nuking a child on the internet. Like that. That's some Lio Convoy shit right there, dude. That's some Lio Convoy shit right there. That's certainly a take.
I don't necessarily agree with going up to a random person who's minding their own business, eating, and purposefully misgendering them. I know all the comments on this video are like very cruel, and I know why. It's a really unfortunate situation because I don't think people deserve to be purposefully misgendered. I don't think people deserve to have you go over to them and call them like the wrong gender when I think it's pretty obvious that Lily is trying to present herself as a woman. I think that's pretty obvious whether you support trans people or not. I think you can tell what she is going for. I think you can tell she's trying to present as feminine. So I do agree that the kids doing that, like, it was stupid. They're just being stupid children.
And rude.
I think
and mean.
the reason
Yeah, sure.
she gets so much hate, though, is because she posts stuff like this all the time, to the point where when you continuously post and out people for misgendering you,
Katie's
because
definitely
this is
walking
not
a
the
minefield.
first time
Yeah.
she's done this. She has a history of screaming in restaurants and then having a go at the servers for misgendering her and trying to humiliate them publicly when half the time they have done it by accident. And I think it's really unfair when somebody is accidentally misgendering you to then publicly humiliate them and try and bait them out or leave a really terrible.
And there were even some videos that I've seen of LilyTino where the servers, like, they don't speak English very well, or like it's very apparent that English isn't their first language, and she still goes like kind of hard on them. And even then, I think that, I don't know, like running tattletale to the manager because somebody like fucked up, if they're doing it on purpose and like being harassing, sure. Nobody deserves to be harassed at a restaurant. But if somebody like unironically just kind of like fucks up and they don't even mean it, it's like, you can just be like, oh, it's actually ma'am. And they're like, oh, okay, my bad. And then you're done with the interaction. Like, I truthfully don't know why you would try to nuke somebody's fucking actual job over an honest mistake. Sure, if they're doing it on purpose and they're being like intentionally malicious, sure, say something, why not? And you're right. But outside of that, it's like, what are you trying to do here? It makes it really hard for people to be empathetic towards you when you're, Karening people who genuinely made a mistake. And as trans people, you guys, it is so blatantly obvious when people do that kind of shit by mistake. It is so apparently obvious when somebody just like fucks up and they're like, oh fuck, my bad, like I'm really sorry. It's not that hard to tell, to be completely honest with you. I don't know, it makes it hard for people to have empathy for you if you're willing to go nuclear on people who are truthfully just like fucking up and they don't mean it, right?
Review of the restaurant, which she has done before, I think that's unfair. So the reason people have reacted so badly to this video is because of all the times that she has done that. And I'm not saying that like she deserves to be misgendered, because I don't think it's fair for the trans community in general, because then you're setting this precedent that you can misgender people depending on whether you
This is supposed to be like this huge turf video. So far, I know we're not that far into it. We're like about halfway done with it, I suppose. But like, I thought this was the mega turf like magnum opus. I thought this was supposed to be really bad.
Like them or not, and that's a really unfortunate thing. But yeah, that explains the comment section of this video.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
But it was not all good.
Hi. I use she, her pronouns. I'm not sir. Yeah, like it's like a knife in the heart. I did specifically ask ahead of time not to be called sir. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Okay. The Sweetwater starts at okay. Not. I'm so sorry. I apologize. It's just always like a knife. It always hurts every single time. I was wondering if there's a manager I could talk to about something that happened. Yeah, I was called sir. Oh, okay. It just really sucks every time it happens. Sorry about that. I don't need to be called ma'am. I just need to not be called sir, you know? Thank you. Did you call me sir? I just want to tell you that the person who gave me this called me sir. What? Called me sir. Oh. Yeah. It's just like, it kind of...
Some of the audio balancing in this is really quiet.
Oh, sorry about that.
Apologize.
Thank you so much. No.
Also, the dog's name is... What's the dog's name? The dog's name is like... Nugget or something like that. And Lily Tino accidentally called her dog the N-word on stream one time. Like, she meant to say nugget, but she actually said the N-word. It was like, you can't make this shit up. Like, it was pretty fucked up. It was pretty fucked up.
No. Yeah. Thank you. I'm not a sir. Nothing like a good misgendering.
I don't know if I probably won't be able to find the clip, and if I can find the clip, I certainly can't play it on stream. But there is a clip out there that exists, and she's trying to say nugget, and she says the fucking N-word. I was like, oh,
It is a knife in the gut when I get called sir. I feel like I need to tell him. I need to tell him that.
And this is something that like, and I'm just gonna say it. All right. I'm gonna say it. Say it, Bella. Okay. Part of the problem, I think, with people being misgendered in public is that there comes a time and a place where you read the room and that confrontation is not worth it. And you're never gonna fucking see that person again. So who cares? If you care about what every single random fucking person says to you or says about you, people that aren't important in your life, people that don't have any significant meaning to you, you know, the barista at Starbucks, the person who checks you out at Trader Joe's or whatever the fuck. Not to say that they're insignificant, right? We're all significant in the eyes of the Lord. But at some point it's like, does this fucking matter? And almost always the answer is not really. Like, if you go to Starbucks, and this happens to me all the time, you guys will never believe it. If I go and they're like, hey, can we get like a name for your order? And I say Malcolm, they spell my name wrong every single fucking time. And it doesn't matter how many times I tell them, you know, Malcolm with 2 L's. They find a creative way to put that L where it doesn't go. Let me tell you, okay? It's a thing that happens. And I could pitch a fucking fit in Starbucks every single time that happens and get my free little mocha and go about my day after ruining literally everybody else's day that was in that establishment. But at some point it's like there is no utility in like this clip specifically where she's like, I feel like I have to tell him. Why? You're never going to see this man again. This man probably didn't do it on purpose. This man probably didn't even think twice about it. And people will argue from the perspective of advocacy and education. And I can tell you right now with a straight face, and if you disagree with me, you're just fucking wrong. You saying this, like the way that she says it to some random fucking stranger is not going to change their mind. They're not going to walk away from that conversation more enlightened or more tolerant. They're not going to have a better perception or affinity towards trans people because you stop someone in the middle of their day as a server to morally grandstand to them about how it, quote, always is like a knife in the heart. They're going to be like, okay, fuck, sorry. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I've been here for like 6 fucking hours. I got to be here for another fucking 6 hours. You're my 720th fucking customer today. I don't know what you want me to tell you. That's not gonna, like, what is the utility of this is a question that I think that people really need to ask themselves, especially when it comes to strangers that you're never going to see again in your life, dude. Who cares? Who cares if the checkout lady at Walgreens thinks that you're ugly, or thinks that you're a bitch, or thinks that your name is John when it's actually Jonathan? Like, who cares? Who cares? Real problems, real problems. Some people have real problems. Let's focus on that, right? You know what I mean? It's oof. And then I see now that you guys are just spending all of your time making fun of how my name is spelled. Also, this shit just makes people think that they have to walk around eggshells with trans people, and I don't want people to feel that way around me. And it's true. I mean, like, people are afraid of upsetting other people, generally speaking, and that's, for the most part, a good thing. You don't want to hurt other people's feelings. I don't think it, like, very few people are like, wow, I really want to fucking ruin this person's day. It's pretty few and far between. Not saying people like that don't exist, because they do, but you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who really goes out of their way to be, like, a huge fucking asshole like that. And like, all that does is normalize that everybody needs to be overly cautious, overly performative, in all aspects of life, even when it's not important. Like, I'm handing you the bag of food in the McDonald's drive-thru. This is really what we're gonna beef about right now? Really? Like, you know what I mean? It's perspective, guys, perspective. Also, there are probably minimum wage jobs who are being yelled at by several different people. You're just going to be blurred together with the other people who yelled at them. Yeah, it's like they have probably already been cussed out like 17 fucking times today. They're really not worried about what you have to say right now. Like, people's threshold for this is very low in general, and then it's even extra low when you pile on that, like, these are literally minimum wage service workers who just want to get their fucking paycheck and go home. They're not here for any of this shit, right? Oh... I think she feels incredibly powerless in her day-to-day life, and it helps her control, or feel in control. Sure. I mean, that's certainly a possibility, but not all control needs to come at the expense of your image and what people perceive of you, right? It's truthfully, like, honestly, honest to God, and this is kind of my mantra for life, and if I can pass on one nugget of wisdom to all of you guys, I'll share this, okay? People who are saying things intentionally to hurt your feelings, what they are looking for is your reaction, always. Okay? People aren't being mean to you just for the fuck of it. They're doing it because they want to see you get mad. Think about the it's ma'am person, right? Why was that so funny, you guys? It's because she flipped the fuck out. That's why people do it. That's why people think it's funny, is the reaction. That's part of it. The second part of it is that if you live your life purely searching for and seeking and thriving in the validation that other people give you, you will never truly be happy, okay? Because it doesn't matter how good you are, how well behaved you are, how well you present yourself, how well you practice your manners, there are going to be people that fucking hate you. For no reason other than you pissed them off one time, or maybe they don't like the way that you look, or maybe they don't like your haircut. Doesn't matter, okay? Doesn't matter how small you make yourself, there are always going to be people who hate you and don't like you, and there's no amount of, you know, backbreaking work that will change their perception of you. Thirdly, the random people on the street that say fucking evil shit to you, after they say that, they go to sleep and they never think about it again. And they love that you stay up all night thinking about what they said. That's what people enjoy. There are people that are far more important in your life that will say way more meaningful and impactful things to you than some random fucking person accidentally calling you the wrong name at fucking 7-Eleven. If that is where your heart and your priority lies, you will never fucking be happy in life, because there is no amount of anything that will make you likable to every single person that's alive. It's never going to happen. You cannot seek validation through the eyes of other people. It has to come from within. There's no other way. You will die miserable, sad, and alone, and you will never know who you are as a person, because all you seek to do is exist in the prism that others perceive you, okay? You didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. You exist in the context of all in which came before you, okay? Write that down.
And it's not intentional, because it means, like, this is sir to him. I know you didn't mean it, but I'm not a sir. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I know you didn't.
Again, I'm not going to be like the internet, and I'm not just going to then immediately be like, you deserve it, blah, 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 because I'm not going to look at you and make my own judgment of whether I think you pass or not. That's not my place, and it shouldn't be anyone else's place. But what I would say, and what I disagree with, is letting them apologize, saying it's all good, and then going to their manager. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure if
that's
I
pretty
accidentally
two-faced.
misgendered someone, I'd already feel guilty enough. If they called me out on it, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, I'm really sorry, and I'd correct it. You don't then need to tell their manager. What is the manager going to do? And the fact that this has become such a big part of her content, it's almost like now every single time it happens, people have said, like, she seems happy about it. It's content for her. It's an opportunity to complain to a manager. And, you know, I'm not trans, and I don't know what it's like, and I don't want to
we love our cis queens.
I don't want to seem uneducated. I don't want to seem naive, and I don't want to seem like privileged that I don't have that issue. But I just think it's really unnecessary to go and like talk to management about it. Like management is not going to do anything. That's not like it's not going to resolve anything. They're apologizing immediately, and that in this world is all you can ask for. That is all you can ask for. It doesn't mean that you can't be upset about it. It doesn't mean that your feelings aren't going to be hurt, but that's ultimately not their problem when it is an accident. And the thing is, the more and more she's done that, the more and more people just do not care. The more and more people are trolling her online in the comments, taking the mick out of her, purposefully then misgendering her. The more and more you make this a thing, the more and more people are going to do it. And that's not a good thing.
She's just cooking right now. She's spitting facts.
That is the unfortunate reality of the online world.
I bet you didn't know that Kurt Cobain was probably trans.
No, not this fucking take.
Kurt wore a lot of women's clothing. And when asked about this, they replied that they wore dresses all the time because they felt comfortable.
Me too, girl. Me too, girl. Breathe through it.
These pictures, they look so happy.
This is what, as part of the LGBT community, and I'm like, I'm open about that. I've never cared to hide that. That's who I am.
Oh, lesbian queen. Let's go, lesbians.
Hate us. This is why people dislike us so much, because the small minority of people.
I will say the Kurt Cobain take is probably one of the most hated takes ever made or uttered, like in our lifetime. That's like our 9/11. Truthfully, like that. That's a fucking take, and everybody hates it. Like, yeah.
Are ruining it for everybody else, because how can you sit there and get mad at people for assuming your gender, for assuming your identity? Make a literal TikTok about how someone who is dead, someone who committed suicide, saying that they were probably trans because they wore dresses. There's nothing like forcing gender stereotypes onto somebody else but hating it when it happens to you.
She's cooking.
He wore dresses.
She's cooking.
Just like I'm wearing men's clothes right now. This is a man's top.
Trans.
I'm wearing men's trousers right now.
Trans.
Sometimes I wear boxers because I like the way they feel.
Super trans.
Sometimes I wear my boyfriend's cologne. Are you going to sit there
Hella
and say
trans. Okay, so not let's go lesbians. Let's go bisexual. Sorry, I think
trans. It is so ironic and unfortunate that you complain when people misgender you, but then you literally misgender someone who is dead. That's just disrespectful.
I agree. She's cooking. She's cooking.
And also really backwards, because people are free to explore their gender identity in any way, shape, or form. But having like an exploration with your gender identity is absolutely piss all to do with being trans.
True. Okay, she's
doesn't mean that just because you want to.
Hey guys, we have like 10 more minutes left of this video. I hope that she says a slur, because like this is actually completely fine.
Wear the opposite gender clothing. You're now gender dysphoric. Very hypocritical.
Yes,
which
tell
has led
her.
many people to believe that she doesn't actually really believe what she's saying, and it's basically rage bait.
Yeah,
Did you know
I would agree.
That
It is.
Spider-Gwen is probably trans. Our first piece
Wasn't it confirmed that Spider-Gwen? I don't keep up with all this fucking nerd shit, but isn't this character actually canonically trans, or am I crazy?
of evidence comes from the most recent Spider-Verse movie, where above Gwen Stacy's bed we see a Protect Trans Kids banner. Now, a lot of people have that banner. It doesn't mean she's trans for sure, but what about the trans?
Okay, Spider-Gwen is not trans. I'm trusting Sai.
You could interpret.
I'm trusting
Sai.
Sai. I trust Sai on this nerd shit.
Himself as an ally. After all, a lot of trans people do not trust the police. However, when you take it in context with the banner,
ACAB. Yes, let's go. Okay, what?
It starts to look like he's wearing the flag to support his daughter. It's also important to consider the scene where.
And I'm gonna assume Katie's take here, because it feels like we're kind of mind melting with Katie a little bit here, which I don't know. Surprise, guys, we're all turfs. I think where we're going with this is that implying that anybody who is supportive of trans people in any capacity is therefore trans is also a big fat fucking no from me, dog, because like that is what makes people scared to be supportive of trans people. That's a very reductive take, but allow me to elaborate. Like it's like when everybody's like, why do you support gay people? Why are you gay? People are like, oh fuck, everybody thinks I'm gay. Like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't talk about that anymore. In the same way where it's like, oh, you think it's like trans people should be like executed by the state in a video game, and everybody's like, oh, transgender alert. It's like people are kind of like, oh fuck, like why does everybody keep assuming that? Like Jesus Christ, like that's fucking dumb. Like that's not true at all. Like, yeah, that kind of makes it really fucking hard for people to be like, yes, I support trans people when everybody's like, I knew it, T-slur. It's like, I'm assuming that's where we're going. Don't let me down, Katie.
Gwen comes out to her dad about being a superhero. Now, Gwen isn't coming out as explicitly trans, but the feelings are the exact same. The vulnerability, the fear, the anxiety.
Thank you, Sai, for being a dork. Quote, Gwen's dad is a cop. She was hiding her superhero identity from him, and her universe has a lot of pastel colors. That's it. Thank you, my token dork.
Anxiety. It's something that a lot of queer people can relate to in their coming out experience. So
I mean, you could say that that's allegorical to the trans experience, but that doesn't inherently make that like a trans character, right?
Spider-Gwen trans? Not officially. The creators of the movie have never commented one way or another. But they've also never told us that Gwen Stacy is cis, and for that matter, they've never told us that Peter Parker is cis. He might be swinging around.
Literally, all of them are trans.
Who cares? Who actually cares? How is this important? How is this? It's just a cartoon. It's just a cartoon. And you know what? I hate this. I hate having to critique this because there are so many hateful people out there who hate on trans people for absolutely zero reason. But then there's content like this that is just not helping anybody's case. Stop doing stuff like this. Stop assuming stuff that is literally for children. It has hidden meaning.
Lost me a little bit. Lost me a little bit there. I guess my criticism would be that, like, you could say allegorically that, like, this might be reflective of, like, somebody who's gay or somebody who's trans or whatever the fuck that has to, like, come out of the closet, that you're hiding your identity from somebody who you fear might be judgmental about, like, your true self or whatever. And that there's kind of, like, you know, a little tease that maybe it is, like, trans-coded or maybe it is gay-coded or whatever. The assumption is problematic. And so is the assumption that, like, it is inherently problematic that in, like, the universe, that because this is like a cartoon or whatever, that you're like loading the trans canons to trans the children. Okay. Little ding there. We're losing some points on that one, but let's continue.
It's all about anything. It's the same as when people are like, I think this character's gay. Who cares? Who literally cares?
Okay. Same, but I also hate, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Fanfic. I also hate fanfic, so that's just me. That's just me.
Who cares? It's not important. It doesn't matter.
Hi friends! Today we're talking about something super cool called pronouns. Pronouns are
not pronouns, bro.
Help us talk about
this is where we're gonna get in the problematic takes, I bet. I bet this is where it is.
People use he and him, like this bear.
Also, Katie, can you make her audio louder?
People use she and her, like this cat. She's so playful. Some people use they and them. Oh, like this frog. They like to
transgender frogs. Alex Jones was right, you guys.
Good.
The chemicals in the water are making the frogs trans.
So playful? Good. Can you say they like to hop? Good job. And it's important to ask.
The worst part of this video is that she plays like the whole fucking
just
there we go.
Ignorant and rude, and doesn't acknowledge that there are children. Ways to talk about this.
She's so playful.
All right, did I go back too far?
Can you say they like to hop?
Fuck!
Good
I went too far.
Pronouns are because you can't always tell by what.
Ways to talk about this in the most respectful way possible. Ways to talk about this in the most.
Look like.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm really trying to find a way to talk about this in the most respectful way possible because I never, ever want to come across as somebody who is just ignorant and rude and doesn't acknowledge that there are children who have gender dysphoria and there are children who are trans. I'm not dismissing that. But what I'm going to say is it's such a complex thing to talk to children about. It's not an easy topic. And I don't think it's something that really young children need to even be aware of. Unless a specific child themselves is seeking out information about what it means to be trans because of their own.
I think it really depends. I I think I hate to be nuanced, like it's going to be context specific, unfortunately. Or like, what if you, like, it doesn't even have to be in the context of like that kid. Like, what if there's a kid in that kid's class and they have to have like a conversation about it and what it means. And obviously you can make all of these kinds of conversations age appropriate. I think like my favorite example of like really hard topics being neutered to be like more age appropriate is mouse. That's probably one of my favorite examples of that, is where you can have and teach kids about really complicated, like really, really serious topics, or even topics that are like hard for adults even to talk about sometimes. You can kind of neuter them in a way where it's like digestible and understandable and like appropriate, age appropriate specifically for them. So I think that this is just kind of like lazy intuition pumping, where it's like no kid ever would need to know this. It's like, well, maybe. I mean, maybe they have like an uncle or a friend or a cousin or something like that. But I don't know. I'm kind of, she's kind of losing me a little bit here, because I don't think there's, again, to circle all the way back at the very beginning, I don't think there's really anything inherently wrong with teaching that tolerance. Obviously, I think there are appropriate and inappropriate ways to teach that tolerance, certainly. But just the concept itself in a vacuum of saying like, hey, there are people who are different than you. There are people who live and experience life and all these different things differently than you, and that's okay. I think that's never a bad thing, as long as it's done in an appropriate way, right? An appropriate, safe, age-appropriate way. I think that's fine.
Thoughts and feelings, I guess. Like, children don't or shouldn't need to worry about misgendering other children. That's just not a thing that children should worry about. It isn't.
Well, and the thing is that like, they hypothetically, if you have like a bunch of kids and they want to be like kind to each other, kids like default setting is to be nice, except some of them are born evil, I believe. But like, if they just want to be like kind to each other, that's something that they can like worry about, though. No, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching. I don't know.
Young children. And we're saying young because of the way she's going, can you guys say pronouns? Young children that you're having to get to parrot you as if they're like, what, 5, 6, 7, don't need to be taught about pronouns.
Does she know kids are parroting at the age of 7? All right, she lost me entirely.
I wasn't taught about pronouns as a child. I wasn't.
You know what's crazy is that actually you were taught about pronouns. You were just taught about them in English class. You certainly were taught about pronouns. You can speak the English language. You certainly learned about pronouns. Now I'm lost.
About anything as a child that wasn't appropriate for my actual age, and now I
knowing that like gay people exist or like knowing that like trans people exist isn't like necessarily age inappropriate. If you're like sitting down and you're like graphically describing with a fucking diorama how sex changes happen, then yeah, that's really fucking inappropriate. Same thing with sex education. There are ways to teach sex education at an age appropriate level that is important for them to know, but isn't like weird. Like, she's lost me.
I'm a 21-year-old woman who is aware of pronouns and is aware of transgender people, and I'm educated at the age I am now. I don't think it's necessary to teach children about pronouns at the age of nursery age, especially, which is what she's targeting to.
I mean, but kids. So the problem here is that we're having a kind of semantic foot in mouth moment, because kids that age do learn about pronouns and they do use pronouns. Because it's part of vernacular. It's language. It's how they used to communicate. It's how they refer to others. Like, my mom said that she was going to the doctor later today. And if the kid says, mom said that she's going to the doctor, or excuse me, mom said that he is going to the doctor later today, your parents will be like, no, like, mom is a she. And it can literally be like that fucking simple. It can literally be that fucking simple, right? And it's the same thing with animals. You could say the same thing for animals. If a kid's like, oh my God, what a cute dog. What's her name? And you're like, oh, it's a boy dog. They're like, oh, what's his name? It can be that simple. Like, you do learn pronouns. You do learn pronouns at an incredibly young age because it's such an integral part of the way that we communicate with each other. And now it's coming to light that the public education system in the United Kingdom is actually dog shit, because not only does Katie believe that she was never taught about pronouns, she also believes that your vagina magically changes colors, like, you know, spontaneously throughout life, which is... I don't know. She lost me.
It's so annoying because I know it's a complex problem. I know there is arguments to be had that children should know about this, children should know about that. But I think ultimately children just don't need to be taught about this at the age that they are. I just don't think they do. Yeah. Just like I'm a bisexual woman and I don't think I needed to be taught at the age of like 9 that like I have other options because I hadn't even learnt about sex then.
Sounds like a fake bisexual to me. My first crushes were girls. Like, hello? It's not that you need to be taught about it. Like, hey, your first crush is a girl. Let's bust out the Karma Sutra right now. It's like, no. Oh, that's different. That's something different. This is the word that you use to describe that. It's just different. That's all. It's not like bad or anything like that. It doesn't mean that you're like a bad person or that you're wrong or whatever. It's just different. What?
Anyway, why would I need to learn about gender and sexual preferences when I haven't even actually learnt about sex yet? It's all relevant.
Kids have crushes all the time, dude. What are you talking about? Maybe it's just like, maybe it is truly Gen Z, dude. Maybe they are just cooked. Like, I want to say my first crush was like I want to say like the first or second grade was like the first time that I like had a crush on somebody else. I think it was like in first or second grade. Am I smoking crack right now, you guys? Like, check me right now. Check me before I wreck you. Is that not like a thing? Like, don't kids usually get crushes really young, or was I weird? Like, and that's true. White dog is that she's equating like sexuality to having sex. That's part of the problem. Is that your sexuality is about like more than fucking, believe it or not. Like, there is more that goes into it than that. Like, I don't even know. My brain is melted.
And I agree that it's really difficult to pinpoint when you should know what, but I also think let kids just be kids. Let them be
Yeah,
kids.
she lost me.
I swear, we're about to get banned from Disney. Last summer, I got my cake.
No, I will not watch another Lily Tino video at regular speed.
Shouldn't be had in front of kids. That's just a separate thing. Talking about your
Okay, and then we're back on the ball because now we're saying that Lily Tino shouldn't be talking about getting a sex change at fucking Disney World. I agree, kid.
genitals in front of kids should not be allowed. It's not helping this narrative at all that trans people and LGBTQ people are predators, because that is what so many people think, and it's content like this that isn't helping society. You're in Disneyland. You're in Disney. So many things to do in Disneyland, but no, you're going to sit down with cake pops and talk about your penis being turned inside out and there being hair on it. And the fact that she's dressed as well in...
Pretty weird. I can agree with this. This is kind of odd.
I'm not going to say kids' clothes. I'm not saying that Disney is just for kids, but there's just no reason you couldn't wait to be at home in your own time doing this. And she does this all the time. I don't think she's ever made a really weird video that isn't in public. Like, wait till you're at home and maybe you won't get half as much hate as you do, because there is literally no reason you couldn't wait to be at home to do this.
Hair growing there, weird. Or else it's very uncomfortable. So I talked to my surgeon and he said that it would be best to postpone the procedure until after.
Also, Lily Tino has like indefinitely postponed her surgery. It's like every other day she's getting it, and then she's not getting it, and then she's getting it, and then she's not getting it, and then she's getting it, and then she's not getting it. And I think that part of that is like a monetary grift. I think that she uses that to get like donos and like money and like Amazon shit from all of her fans. I don't know who the fuck is sending Lily Tino money. But it's on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, and it is always like, oh, I'm getting surgery like next week. Hurry, I need like all this money, and then it's like, oh. My surgery got postponed again. Fuck, guys, that sucks so bad. And then, like, next week, it's like, oh my god, guys, it's literally tomorrow. Please donate as soon as possible. It's kind of, it is pretty grifty, if you ask me.
After hair removal is complete. This is obviously disappointing because I was really excited to have a marshmallow tunnel sooner. That being said, it's still happening.
Stop calling it a fucking marshmallow tunnel. Oh my god. The fact you're having to use code words for...
And to be fair, again, I will clarify that, like, part of that could possibly be TOS, but I also agree it's freaky deaky behavior to talk like that publicly at, like, fucking Disney World. Very inappropriate. Part of it could be TOS dodging, but I also think there is, like, a little bit of fuck shit going on there, too, you know?
Your parts, because you're in public, is literally evidence that you shouldn't be talking about what you're talking about where you are. You're in Disney World. Disney World, yes, adults can enjoy it too, but there are so...
Listen, we're ignoring a major point of contention in this video, and I'm going to get really mean to Katie right here because she keeps doing this, and it's actually really starting to irritate me, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves. She is not condemning Disney adults nearly enough, okay? No, Disneyland is not for fucking 45-year-old wine moms to go on their fucking girls trip for the 7th time this year, okay? I don't want to see little kids waiting in line for pictures with Mickey and Minnie because Susan is having her midlife crisis for the 3rd fucking time this year and has to fill up her photo album again. Let's be real. Come on. Katie, you can do better than this, and I am really fucking disappointed in your performance here, because the only thing that I find more disgusting, Katie, than your violent transphobia, your disgusting anti-sex work views, is your inability to adequately criticize the real fucking problem in the room, which is Disney adults. Unreal.
So many children around, and any talk of
Obviously, that was a joke, Phoenix Rising.
parts shouldn't be happening around children. You're not their parents, and you don't have any right to be telling kids about anything that their parents don't want them to know. And end of, really. This is why people don't like you. There are people in the comments, trans people themselves are saying, I'm trans and I fucking cannot stand you. Because this is the thing, I always don't like speaking on this stuff because I'm not trans. I feel like I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I'm also just going with logic, and logically...
Logic. That's what you call it.
This is strange. Regardless of whether you're trans or not, if you were a man, woman, whatever you are, sitting...
You are too old to go to Disneyland, and you should say it, Katie. You should say it. Man, woman, non-binary, they, them, dog, gender, doesn't matter. After the age of probably, I want to say, like, after like 25, it starts getting really fucking weird, okay? Especially if you don't have kids. You're starting to push it. I agree, Katie Based.
in public talking about your parts in front of children and referencing them as food names because you know it's inappropriate is it is kind of predatory. It is kind of...
Oh, there we go. Now we're reeling out like the fucking pedo shit. It's like you can think that it's weird and inappropriate and like pretty fucking freaky. You can think all of those things. I don't know. She had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
Today is the day of my bottom surgery consult. This surgery is going to take my cake pop stick.
How many cake pop videos do we have to fucking watch, Katie? We get the point. We all understand.
About anything that I don't think children should hear in public. Why?
All right, I'm done with this. We're just looping. We're looping. This is another problem that I have with not only Katie, but Lewis McClung. How can you take a video that should be 20 minutes tops and make it like 45 minutes? Like, why are you still talking? Like, you've already said it. You've already said it. I heard you the first fucking time that you said it. You don't have to repeat yourself like 17 fucking times into the same fucking cake pop video 26 fucking times. I heard you. I got it. Locked in. I got you. Please. Oh, God, kill me. Kill me. Kill me. I'm crashing out, you guys. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore.